Over in the pages of Marvel Comics, the Man Without Fear is going through a season of change. His writer Chip Zdarsky and artist Marco Cicchetto just recently wrapped up their really long run over on the title, but Marvel doesn't skip a beat and is already looking to relaunch a brand new ongoing series for Daredevil featuring writing from Miles Morales writer Saladin Ahmed alongside previous Guardians of the Galaxy artist Aaron Kuder. I really think both members of the creative team have a unique vision in terms of what they produce over on the comic book page, and I'm excited to see them tackle Daredevil with some religious themes in the form of their brand new series. My name is Ariko Braddock, and without further ado, let's go ahead and take a deep dive into the brand new Daredevil issue 1. Before we get deeper into the video, I want to encourage you to consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the like button over on our video. Born Again. The new era of Daredevil starts here. Industry stars Saladin Ahmed and Aaron Kuder have laced up and entered the ring, ready to take Matt Murdock on a knockout of an adventure. Where does Elektra fit into all this? What is the future of Hell's Kitchen, romance, intrigue, and of course action, all delivered in the mighty Marvel manner? So our new volume of Daredevil issue 1 is written over from Saladin Ahmed, featuring artwork from Aaron Kuder, colors from Jesus Aburtov, letters from VC's Clayton Cowles, and we have this cover coming in over from John Romita Jr., Scott Hanna, and Marcio Menyz. I really think that this pose over for Daredevil really captures the complicated and nuanced tone over for this ongoing series. And of course, I want to extend a big thank you over to Adventures in Poor Taste for posting our preview so quickly. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into some of the artwork over from Aaron Kuder. So we recently had the chance to look over some of these preview pages over in our live streams, which you can check out every Saturday and Sunday up on our channel, but really enjoyed taking a look at how Aaron Kuder realized the perspective for some of these pages, introducing Matt Murdock over with his new status quo in the issue. The way I think Aaron Kuder kind of points his camera towards some of these cars from a really low angle, captures the intrigue of Matt Murdock kind of scurrying across a taxi through the busy streets over in New York. Really think that Kuder managed to capture just interesting perspective across this issue that is particularly realized over in this scene in some really interesting cases here. One example is the way that the panel is pointed directly at the car mirror, showing the reaction of the taxi driver, getting a little bit frustrated at how long the commute is taking. And I love how in the next page we sort of build up to the reveal of who's in the back of this car, with the driver kind of turning around and showing his perspective towards the audience directly. I think bringing even more intrigue to who is in the back of the cab here. And when Aaron Kuder finally reveals Matt Murdock in earnest here, I think his expression, his dialogue written over from Saladin Ahmed is amazing. And also the way this book kind of checks in and references Matt Murdock's previous status quo is really, really incredible here. I really think that Aaron Kuder and Saladin Ahmed work incredibly well together in striking a really unique and nuanced tone over for Daredevil. It can be really sweet in some moments. It can be very silly and irreverent in others. And I think this is a great example of how. Also, this page kind of introduces our title sequence here too. A little bit later over in the issue, Aaron Kuder does a great job introducing Elektra with a lot of subtlety in some of these pages, getting to see her status quo and how she sort of interacts with this Matt Murdock, who's lost a portion of his memories, is absolutely fascinating. And I think Aaron Kuder always captures Elektra as Daredevil with an interesting line, as he does with so many characters across this title. Getting the chance to see Matt Murdock operate out of this youth home was really fascinating throughout this title, and catching up over with his status quo throughout the issue was so intriguing to me. I was honestly perplexed at the level of restraint Saladin Ahmed had over with the story, as in the first couple pages we spent so much time with Matt Murdock in a more domestic setting as a priest alongside some of these children throughout the issue. I was really struck at just how much characterization Ahmed lent over to this title, and just by how much dedication that this creative team had towards Matt Murdock being a priest. Getting to see a creative team really kind of shed the melodrama of the last run and devote to some of the kind of happier aspects of this series was thrilling. One thing that I often find frustrating when new creative teams enter Daredevil runs is that they don't always commit over to the status quos. But I think this issue really shows that Matt Murdock isn't just going to go back to being Daredevil as he was in the last run, but instead really kind of devote and plant some roots down to his status quo, operating as a priest currently. I really think this is a great direction over for Saladin Ahmed to go in. And I was honestly struck by just how much religious themes were captured in the issue. So many writers can write Daredevil a lot differently, whether they focus over on Matt Murdock's time as a lawyer or as a superhero. But I think investing in some of these religious themes carves a very distinct and dynamic aspect over for this Daredevil title. One more thing I wanted to mention over with Aaron Kuder's art is I almost found that he referenced artists like John Romita Jr., who previously worked on the Daredevil property, just in that sense of line that he uses. The way he captures some of the radar sense over with Elektra in one of the panels was absolutely wonderful. And I think we also need to take a few moments to shout out color artist Jesus Aburtov over on the series. I particularly love the page that we have up on the screen showing Elektra as Daredevil, kind of recounting all of these moments that she's had with Matt Murdock over in the past. Also, the meat of this issue is really focused on Elektra specifically, as she almost becomes possessed a little bit later in the series. Getting to see the way that Aaron Kuder captures the possessed Elektra made this issue in particular so thrilling to me. I think there was humor in just the sense of visuals alone here. And watching Matt really struggle to do battle with this individual in this scenario where he just started to trigger some of his previous memories was absolutely enthralling for me. And again, I think this secondary story does a great job building on some of the religious themes that were sort of hinted at over in Matt's current status quo. And I was really expecting for Matt to just kind of snap out of it and to operate back as Daredevil again. But when he speaks to Elektra and kind of makes his status quo as it stands currently a little bit more clear, we really got a lot more invested in the narrative, seeing the direction that both Saladin Ahmed and Aaron Kuder ventured into from here. Lastly, it was also really thrilling to catch up with the cliffhanger over in the series, telling a cliffhanger that I'm sure has been referenced in some scenario with a previous Daredevil run, but I still found it great to see this sort of complicated status quo get returned back to a more basic scenario that's going to levy a more physical threat towards Daredevil and Matt Murdock in the near future. Elsewhere here, I think the subplot with Elektra as Daredevil is really core to this title and will help the plot spin in some really interesting directions. Love the fact that Elektra still feels this fondness towards Matt, and I almost buy into the relationship more throughout the context of this issue, with Elektra kind of holding Matt with a little bit of a guard to make sure that she is able to keep him safe. Also, the fact that she's sort of helping out this youth home financially was just a small plot element that really warmed my heart here. I was honestly just really struck by how much restraint author Saladin Ahmed lent over to this comic book alongside Aaron Kuder. So at the end of the day here, I think this brand new Daredevil run is an incredibly subversive start to a new ongoing series. I think Saladin Ahmed did a fantastic job crafting some new Daredevil scenarios with some interesting existing pieces of continuity here. I really like how this book also references some past elements of Daredevil runs and make sure to reference it directly sort of on the comic book page as well. The artwork from Aaron Kuder throughout this issue was so much fun to experience. I just think the way he sort of captures the villains in particular with such a large sense of scale really brings out some of my imagination in the comic book. I feel like Aaron Kuder never quite draws the same thing twice, so I'm so excited to see how he captures some of these individuals in future pages. And I also want to take note that Aaron Kuder does a great job imbuing so much expressions into his figures that when we get to see some of those characters at the youth home, I think he just lends great sort of animation and expressions towards some of these individuals as well. I want to know from you, did you enjoy this new volume of Daredevil as much as I did? What were some of your ideas about the religious themes that Saladin Ahmed seemed to play up throughout this comic book? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for coming to check out our review of Daredevil issue 1, and we'll be back to talk Marvel Comics in the near future. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.